Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Piledriver Podcast on today, the 9th of August 2020. Myself, Davey Boy, Dave Abbott, we've got the surgeon, Gav Collingwood, and we've also got the Heartbreak Yid, Phil Holmes as well. Lads, how are we doing?
We are doing
very well. I'm happy. I'm happy to be here as always. Main attraction every week. Everyone tunes in for me, and I know that's the case.
Of course it is.
I'm the champion. The people of champions. Look, listen. I actually watched an AEW match this week.
No.
Shock.
I can't remember much about it because it was very late at night after a few sherbets. But I did watch the 12-man tag match. And I loved it. I bloody loved it. Wow. Excellent. AEW. Wow. I didn't watch any more of the show that night because it was getting late and I was a bit tired. But I've read... Yeah, sometimes that happens at about 5, 6 in the morning.
Pissed, you mean?
Rock and roll, man. Right. Rock and roll.
As well, how great did the Dark Order look as well?
Finally.
Yeah, finally. They're actually giving them... I feel now they're starting to come into their own a little bit, aren't they?
They've had chances.
I remember...
They've been taking the piss out for a while, but...
I think so. It's been like a comedy stable a little bit, hasn't it? But I feel that this week that's just gone past, the Dark Order looked really strong against Best Friends as well. But they looked amazing. Yeah, I know they had, obviously, the injury... to a member of the FTR, didn't they? But even then, I just thought they looked in sync together as a stable. I don't know what you guys thought on
that. I still need to watch more. I was entertained by what I saw. But in terms of stables, the Dark Order, I know they are. Didn't Best Friends beat them in a tag match on the night, or was that the other way around?
No, it was, yeah, but that was two of the members of that stable, so that was none of the members who were in that 12-man tag team.
Got an assistant as well.
So my daughter.
Is it Raw?
My daughter. Come here. Come and say hello. Come and say hello. It's okay.
I just sweat.
She don't want to. Okay, I've just got a bit of a distraction. Sorry, everybody.
Sorry, it's like the crowd reaction at SmackDown.
Do you know what? I go, oh, no, she's shy. She's gone. Yeah, so, look, the 12-man tag match was absolutely awesome. I did pause it after that. I do find some of the AEW bits a bit tedious and a bit boring. But maybe I think that's just because they're still newish. And not everything is quite as good production-wise as it could be if they had a bit more experience. I don't know. I like it.
They don't have a
definitely
$3 billion Fox deal, though, do they? Or however much it was.
What's that?
WWE have like $1 billion deal with Fox Sports.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But like it's dropped down. I tried watching it. I watched some of them clips that you've been telling me about this underground raw underground. What a joke! What a joke! Even I will admit that.
Well, Phil,
I mean, what is that all about?
That brings me on to this week's news. So
this
week's news, as reported to you via the Piledriver Podcast from other sources. I'm just getting people saying, "Are you podcasting now? Are you on?" Yeah.
Yeah, we're on. We're live.
We're on now. So I will just hit that to our adoring fans, and then I'm back in the room. Right then. So first things first. Then on the list of this week's news in wrestling all over, that's been reported mainstream. Austin Theory has been suspended by WWE. I know Gav and I spoke briefly about this wrestler last week. Very young wrestler. I think he's only about 23. and he
really
briefly served time in Seth Rollins' new ministry, new faction. And he hasn't been on the TV since June, and now we know why. It's because he's been suspended, but there has been no other details leaked thus far. So that was one of the first things that came out.
Although apparently he has been accused of sexual misconduct with that speaking out movement.
Oh,
which is
right, okay.
Well,
there's been a big movement on that, hasn't there, at the moment, right across all wrestling organisations. I know Impact stars have been pulled up for that, WWE as well. Of that, the offshoots from NXT UK 205 Live as well.
Okay, educate me please, both of you. Why is it such a big deal that Austin Theory's been suspended by the WWE? Well, he's Austin Theory.
Because Gav has just said he's been one of the many wrestlers, Phil, of late, who's been pulled in for sexual misconduct.
Right.
Big thing now the last couple of months. Sammy Guevara of AEW was suspended for 30 days for it as well. So
what are we talking about? Are we talking speaking badly to women? Or are we talking West?
Yeah. Well, things
that sort of thing.
Things that have been put on social media, things that have been said, inappropriate behaviour around.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's always been a problem in the world of wrestling.
And I think
massive problem.
People need to be made accountable for it. So yeah.
I agree with you. Absolutely, 100% agree with that. I mean, I've read a few stories, and the women have never got right, have they? Really, they've always been, I think, to the male wrestlers, pieces of meat. That's how they thought of them in the past, 80s especially. The more modern we get, the more nowadays, I think the male wrestlers are more respectful. But it obviously still happens because you mentioned two people.
Well, looking
Austin
more into the
Theory.
speaking out movement thing about Austin Theory, apparently he's been accused of inappropriate behaviour with 13-year-old girl.
Whoa, that changes everything, man.
But I've got to say, for the sake of the podcast, it is obviously allegations at the moment, and we don't know, do we? I mean,
look, can I just ask you both, just taking that away a little bit, Austin Theory, did you like him as an in-ring performer?
Didn't you? I don't remember him.
I've never seen him.
Good. I don't remember him.
I've seen little bits of him. Little bits of what I did see. He had potential, but if he's guilty of doing what they said they have, then the guy doesn't deserve to have a career in wrestling, does he?
100%. That's my wife. Did you see that?
Okay. Podcast
wife. Yay!
She doesn't.
Right, listen,
we can't actually see her. It's just.
I am so green on new wrestlers, and I'm sorry. Now I will do a bit more research every week. I've done a bit more this week. I really have.
Well, speaking of all things new, this is going to be new to all of us because it only started this week. The AEW Women's Tag Division kicked off with the Deadly Draw Night 1 quarterfinals. So AEW have now got a Women's Tag Team Cup tournament, which, funnily enough, was something that we spoke about on the last week's podcast, about saying that the one thing that where AEW seemed to be lacking was the women's tag division. And I don't think we should take full credit for it on the Piledriver Podcast, maybe some. But
I'm taking credit. I don't care.
It was on. I think it was just after dark, AEW Dark this week, and there's some great matches on there. So I'm looking forward to seeing where that's going to go next week as well.
Can I ask you a question? Sorry, just quickly, really quickly. Where do you watch AEW Dark?
YouTube.
How do you watch that?
You can watch it on their website, Phil. You can even go on YouTube as well, and it's on there.
It live on YouTube.
It's a free.
Yeah. You can see them.
Okay, cool. I've watched some Dynamites because I can get them on my Sky.
Yeah, Dynamite's the flagship show. Yeah,
That's their Raw.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
basically.
SmackDown.
Yeah.
I am learning, and I'm trying to learn more.
Raw, that's rude.
Yeah, that's been disrespectful to AEW. But yeah, in the sort of comparison things. And speaking of Raw, I don't know where this is going to go. It's going to be like Marmite, this one, isn't it?
This retribution thing.
We have a new faction now in WWE. They made an appearance on SmackDown a couple of nights ago as well. They're called Retribution, as Phil's rightly said. They made the debut on Raw by smashing a generator and messing with the electrics, and the microphones were cutting out.
I have a big question about that as well.
So who's the leader of Retribution?
Who do you guys think it could be? Let's put it out there.
I just want to ask one question about this Retribution first, so. Right.
I would have to say Randy Orton, Ric Flair, Triple H. I don't know. I ain't got a clue. I ain't watched it. I ain't got a clue.
If you let's go further back than the fact that the torture generator. Why is the performance center being powered by a generator, not mains electric? Am I missing something here? Why has it got a generator in the first place?
That's the first thing I thought when I sort of thought. So
Did
is that why Raw's so terrible then? Because it's just being powered by one diesel generator in the background, or electric generator.
Oh, okay. You just mentioned diesel.
Underground can't be powered by a generator.
Kevin Nash is in this? No, you're taking the piss out of me because I don't watch this modern shit. I don't know. Seth Rollins, AJ Styles.
Who do you think could be members of it, Gav?
Retribution. What does that mean? Yeah, it's people that have been left about and they want some kind of justice. Yeah, bullshit.
It's Nexus again, but a watered down, crappy version.
I think Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit are probably the leaders. Sorry. Disrespectful.
With
rest in peace, Eddie. I'm sorry.
It looked to me, when I watched the footage of Retribution in action, you can distinctively hear one or maybe two female voices in there.
Charlotte Flair.
And on Raw, it seemed to be like there was maybe 4 male wrestlers. Obviously, for those who haven't seen it yet, they're all covered from head to toe in black. So you can't see any faces, any eyes or anything. They're covered head to toe in black clothing. On SmackDown, however, a few nights later, they came into the ring. They chainsawed the ring, so they chainsawed all the ropes off the ring. They spray painted the SmackDown sign out, and it was really like a Poundland version of NWO. And then, but there seemed to be like double the amount of members on SmackDown. They even went into the crowd and started, developmental stars, and beat all of them up as well. They smashed the announce tables, and then SmackDown went off. Now,
Retribution. Kevin Owens.
Gav, you sent a post, didn't you, about a female member of WWE who put a tweet out. Do you want to enlighten us on that? Because this might be something to do with Retribution.
I can't remember which tweet it was. I've got to find it again now.
Melina?
One thing that someone was pointing out, though, is the fact that everyone in Retribution seems to be quite small.
Yeah, there's no giants in there at all. Yeah.
Are they as small as Orange?
I like
Orange. I love him, but I think he'd fit in my pocket.
I genuinely believed, but I've realised he's now popped up on Impact. I thought one of the members could have been Heath Slater, but he's now fighting the mouse on Impact. So
I'm trying to find this tweet.
I remember Heath Ledger. He was the Joker in the Batman.
Gav.
Melina.
Is it Maria? Sorry, Maria Kalinas.
I can't find it. I don't know what I've done with it.
Right, come on, next item then. It's boring. Let's move on.
Well, basically, what Kalinas put out there is that even though she's a current member of WWE, she's absolutely sick to the back teeth of good talent getting buried for the same old faces being put in the headline matches time after time.
Well, that's happened for the last 25, 30 years in WWE, and it's never going to change.
Once you mention as well the fact that they bring people in just for a pop, just for a ratings pop, and then disappear.
Yeah. Now, when that happened, and Rusev as well, Rusev has been let go during lockdown from WWE, one of the many people who got their contracts weren't renewed. Rusev and Kalinis have been very, very vocal on Twitter, dissing WWE. Then all of a sudden this Retribution stable comes up, and Retribution's gimmick seems to be that they're going to turn WWE upside down. They're going to shake it to its foundations. They're going to get all these so-called walk-in stars like your Drew McIntyres, your when he comes back out of lockdown, your Roman Reigns, your A-listers. They're going to be no more, and Retribution is going to shake WWE from its inside out. So potentially,
like DX did in the Attitude Era,
is Kalinis part of this Retribution? Is Rusev going to be making a comeback as part of it as well? I don't know. It's all out there.
I can't see Rusev returning. I think they pissed him off too much.
I think
maybe a subject for another time, but I think that. And how old's Vince McMahon? It's in his 70s, isn't he now?
70s at least, yeah.
He must be, yeah. He must be getting on that way. Old Vinnie Mac.
Until he retires, and I mean properly retires, the WWE will not move forward.
Oh, God, no.
I totally agree with you, Phil.
And it's sad. I mean, I grew up loving that show, loving that product, man. Yeah, I do. Attitude Era, Shawn Michaels, The Rock, Hulk Hogan, WrestleMania 3, Andre the Giant, Macho Man. I loved it, but I watched a bit of that underground stuff with Sting.
That brings on to the last point, Phil. WWE Underground, go for it.
Well, I watched a bit. You two had been talking about it, so I thought, let's have a look at these clips. And I was looking at it, and what a farce. It looks pathetic. I mean, it does. I mean, when Shane comes on, hey, calm down, slow down, man. You're so hard. You're going to beat everyone up. Fuck off, you daft. Sorry. Don't want to swear too much. I am trying to keep this podcast clean going forward.
Sad not to when you watch WWE, though, isn't it?
God, that's so cringy.
It reminded me. That's why I sent the link to you guys earlier in the week of that Mega Drive / SNES game called Pit Fighter.
But I remember that. I didn't mind that. That was better than bloody
that. Exactly.
But yeah, I get it now.
That game was 1993. Yeah. Now we're in 2020, and WWE think they're being all cool and edgy and sinister and hardcore by doing
a real life pit fighter.
By doing I need to make this point. Scripted, refereed underground fights.
Mate, that's awesome. I didn't even realise it at the time, but now you said it. The pit fighter makes so much sense. Yeah, absolutely. What a joke.
So all those of you who've not seen WWE Underground, just go into YouTube and type in Pit Fighter Mega Drive or Pit Fighter SNES and thank us later.
What you need to do is go to your nearest retro store, and there's one called Sore Thumbs in York. There you go, shout out. I've been to it. Great store, great retro store, and you'll be able to pick up a copy of Pit Fighter with a console and play it, and you'll just be as sad as we are watching War Underground.
Right then, guys, so that's this week's news covered.
I don't think I could add anything to that, really.
So, Gav, before we go into the main event, your thoughts on Underground?
I don't have thoughts on it. My mind went blank. My eyes just glazed over. I thought I was dying, going to hell.
He went out. I think he went outside his house in his back garden and chucked himself through a table, just to forget about it.
Which was still more realistic.
And I still don't forget about it. Still in
So, we're moving on to this podcast's main event, which is all about something I put together, and this is my opinion. Obviously, you guys can chip in and people listening as well.
Absolutely,
Classic and important tag teams of their time. Now, I want to kick this off with the first ever tag team that I can remember watching, and this tag team never won any belts in WWF. Okay, it's the Bushwhackers, New Zealand's very own Bushwhackers.
You tricked me. Obviously. You tricked me because you're not the other way around, aren't you? Yeah, the Bushwhackers.
I'll the ones next. Now, the Bushwhackers, I liked it because at the time, really, really young, watching wrestling, I thought it's a gimmick. It's quite gimmicky. It's not taking itself too seriously. And I had a bit of a soft spot for the Bushwhackers. And
Luke and Butch.
Luke and Butch, they were cousins, weren't they? Cousins, Luke and Butch. And
Hall of Famers.
Bless their hearts out. They got absolutely paggered every single week, didn't they? It was quite a tough tag team division at the time. It was quite a big tag team division because you had the likes of the Nasty Boys. Another tag team that we're going to be talking about later, Demolition as well.
Absolutely.
On the list, Legion of Doom. You also had the Rockers, Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels.
That's the entertainment.
The Steiner brothers. There was a lot going on at that time.
There was, not all quite the same time. Bit of difference between the Rockers and the Steiners, but the talent was there. There was lots of teams, and what I love about tag teams is a proper tag team, not two wrestlers just matching up.
Yeah,
like you say, the Steiner brothers, Demolition, Bushwhackers. You've given us some classic tag teams there, Dave.
Yeah, Nasty Boys as well.
Absolutely. Was that Nuts and Sags and...
That's it, yeah.
Somebody,
That's it.
Jerry Sags and... They were nasty. They were nasty boys.
And you know what? They haven't changed much in their appearance even now as well. So, just to kick us off, Bushwhackers, let's ask you two individually. Who is your first ever tag team that you zoned in on when you first ever got into wrestling?
Hardy Boys.
Whoa! Wow! Elaborate. What was it? Obviously, I love the Hardy Boys. What was it, Gav, that really caught your attention from them then?
They were doing things that no other wrestlers really were doing, putting the bodies on the line every single match. Entertaining every time.
Absolutely. Yep. I agree.
Lads in chairs. Oh my!
And fair play. I've loved the Hardy Boys myself. I like Jeff Hardy a bit more because he's a bit more daring. Put his body on the line a little bit more crazy in his personal life, I think, as well. That's maybe why we get on. Brilliant Swanton Bomb, all the high risk stuff, brilliant stuff, really entertaining stuff. I'm going to go back and say the tag team for me that really got me interested in that sort of field would be the Rockers. I love watching the Rockers work. And I'll tell you what, I preferred, when I first found the Rockers, I mean, it was very early. It's early for me. It was early in my wrestling watching career, but I actually liked Matt.
Watching career.
My watching career, yeah. I actually liked Matt Jannetty, but I liked the real controversial because Shawn Michaels is one of my favourite wrestlers ever. But when I first saw the Rockers, I actually liked Marty Jannetty better.
Right, okay. And what was it about the Rockers then that worked?
It was there was electric compared to everyone else. Everyone else was slow holds and power. And these were high flyers. I've never seen high flyers before. I was like, wow, this wrestling can be different. It doesn't all have to be about, headlocks and clotheslines and body slams. It can be drop kicks and, moves from the top rope. It opened my eyes up a little bit to something a bit different, to the Hulk Hogan style, the Ultimate Warrior style. Do you know what I'm saying? And I loved
it was
Rockers.
Definitely something different, wasn't it? In terms of what the Rockers would you say that they maybe sort of paved the way for the likes of your high-flying, high-risk...
Yeah, absolutely. They're the pioneers for the teams like Hardy Boys and Edgy Christians.
When we talk about the Bushwhackers, there was no tag team that really captured, I think, the crowd in that era, in my opinion, than Legion of Doom.
The Legion of Doom.
Yeah, the Road Warriors, Animal and Hawk.
I tell you what, about 75% of wrestling fans probably class that team as the best team ever.
I'd say you're probably right there, Phil. Yeah.
Legion of Doom.
Outstanding. I mean, these guys.
Do you know? I think they did. Sorry, Dave. I think that they had more success and a better run when they was known as the Road Warriors. They didn't have a real long run in the WWE. If you look at their whole career, that's what you should celebrate. Because there was so much better and bigger before. I mean, they were massive when they hit the WWE, but Vince changed the name to the Legion of Doom.
Yeah,
because
that's right. Well,
Vince likes to own everybody's name. And that's
when
why.
you look at the history of it, obviously they started in Georgia Championship Wrestling, which tends to be where quite a few big names have come out of the 80s. Then they went into the American Wrestling Association, and then from then onwards, in 1985, for 5 years, they actually cut the teeth mostly in Japan.
Yes,
this is where the Road Warriors gimmick came about.
Because of the Mad Max film.
A very early member of the Legion of Doom back in Georgia Wrestling was Jake the Snake Roberts back in the day. And then, obviously, like I say, from that, they were sort of flitting in and out of the Jim Crockett Promotions World Championship Wrestling, which you can still actually get hold of. I think it's still streaming now, that actually. And then, obviously, as Phil said, they had they were in the WWE/WWF on 3 separate occasions, starting in 1990 when they first came into it.
Can I just say, I think there's another tag team that you're probably going to mention later called Demolition. Demolition, at the time, was Vince McMahon's answer to not having the Road Warriors or Legion of Doom contracted to the company.
Yeah.
As soon as he got the boys he wanted, Demolition just disappeared.
Which is what we're going to be covering shortly as well.
Sorry, Dave. Yeah, but yeah.
No. Honestly, well, no, because it makes a nice link into there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Have you seen any footage of all of any incarnation of the Road Warriors / Legion of Doom?
I remember the Road Warriors returning for like 3 matches and then just being absolute crap, basically.
Yeah,
I remember
that.
Can I mention one thing? I think they had a very, very classic, iconic look, and it was when they had the red with the black spikes.
Yes, that's the one.
And I think it might have been SummerSlam 92, the one that was at Wembley Stadium.
Yes.
I'm sure they had a massive match there, and they came down on the motorcycles.
That's right. Yeah.
With the gear on, and that was wow. That was a wow moment.
Well, I mean, like I said, they had sort of spells in and out of WWF/WWE. In 2003, Road Warrior Hawk, real name Michael Hegstrand, he sadly passed away of heart attack. It was evident when you watch some of the last shows that he did in WWF that he had a serious alcohol, potential drug problem as well. There was quite a sad skit where he actually climbed up the.
I remember that. Yeah.
Do you remember when he climbed up the Titan?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Trying to shout him down, and he was absolutely bladdered, wasn't he? And
it was sad. It was sad end.
One of the last times that they obviously performed together, but they came out of WWF originally back in 1992.
There were WCW guys before that, weren't there?
Yeah,
AWA, like you say. You mentioned the Bushwhackers earlier. I really wanted to get this in because I know it's a bit old now, but the Bushwhackers? The Bushwhackers won championship gold in the AWA.
They did, yes. Yeah.
There was a serious team before they went to the WWF, and I didn't get a chance to mention that, and I just wanted to mention it now.
But I was quite surprised when I read up that they never actually won tag gold in WWF, considering how popular they were as a tag team. But
then when it was used as a joke team.
Exactly, yeah, it's just a gimmick, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then the Road Warriors, they went to New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yes, which seems to be the coolest place in the world ever, which I've not really watched. But every cool person's been there, you know?
They came back to America. WCW in '96 stayed for 1 year, and over a dispute, shock horror with Eric Bischoff, and then they came back to WWF for a couple more years, and then sort of stints in and out of Japan. As reported in October the 19th, 2003, Road Warrior passed away. And then,
did they try to replace him, Dave?
Yeah, Animal came back because Animal was in TNA for a little bit.
John Laurentis, something like that. John Laurentis is Animal, something like that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now they teamed him up with. Does anybody remember the wrestler Heidenreich?
That name rings a bell, and it sounds awful.
He was like this big giant of a wrestler, supposed to go toe-to-toe with The Undertaker. Didn't quite work out. He wasn't the best in the ring, to be fair, and he wasn't good on the microphone. So they formed Legion of Doom with Animal and Heidenreich.
Sorry, was it LOD 2000?
LOD 2000 was another one, which was...
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Still Animal though, I want it all the time.
But you know it was in LOD 2000?
What was it?
Hawk, Animal, and it was Puke.
Puke! God, you're going to puke!
He's gonna puke, he's gonna burst, oh my God!
I believe most people listening might know him as Droz.
Puke and Droz, that's right, yes.
Yeah?
Puke and Droz, yeah.
Wow, that's some history for you tonight, guys.
But poor old Droz had a career-ending injury, didn't he, against D'Lo Brown on SmackDown?
Yes, he did, yeah, poor Droz.
Yeah, so Legion of Doom 2000 was Animal and Hawk and Droz, or a.k.a. Puke, and Sonny was their manager.
Well, we know about Sonny.
Well, we touched upon Sonny's history, didn't we? Last week.
Do you know what? Maybe we'll cover that saga one day, but not for a while.
But in terms of what they'll be well known for mainstream, they were two-time WWF Tag Team Champions, and they were inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2011.
Again, quickly once again say arguably the best tag team ever, Legion of Doom, or the Road Warriors, whichever incarnation you want. But Hawk and Animal are the ones that we're talking about here when we come to greatness. Yeah. Like you say, Dave. Sorry, Dave, move on.
That's all right. Gav, you know a little bit about the next one. SoCal Uncensored. Tell us what you know about SoCal Uncensored.
SoCal Uncensored. I'm drawing blank. I'm no selling
Christopher Daniels?
Yeah, so am I, because Dave hasn't put it in the notes.
SoCal Uncensored. It's Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian, TNA.
Well, I know Christopher Daniels.
So, Gav,
Fallen Angel.
That's right, the Fallen Angel from TNA.
Yes. Awesome fighter.
Gav, out of all of us, you've probably seen more of these guys in AEW. What's your thoughts so far on Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian? Because I'm remembering them from their TNA days when they used to have great battles with James Storm, Kenny King, AJ Styles, Abyss, all those guys back in then. But what do you think to them as far as AEW goes?
Not really seen much of them. I think the problem is though they've not really been used enough in AEW yet. They really need that second show.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a reason for
that? No idea. I don't know why they're not using him enough. He's in being elite enough, but that's about all he's doing at the moment.
They are brilliant in being elite, especially Christopher Daniels when where the young bucks try and get the over 50s.
It's the demo. Got to get the demos.
That's it. So, my take on Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian was when I used to be a big TNA wrestling fan. So TNA wrestling from around about 2003 to approximately 2010-ish, around about that era. Christopher Daniels, as Phil's rightly said, aka the Fallen Angel. When they teamed up together, they were originally called Bad Influence. The original tag team was. They had a rivalry with, like I said,
I was the manager.
Bad Influence. And in terms of in-ring ability, Christopher Daniels, and he's going strong now at the age of 50 as well, as we just touched on in AEW.
Brilliant wrestler.
And Frankie Kazarian, again, when you talk about
high-flying
tag teams, when you talk about high-flying wrestlers who have managed to keep in shape and keep injury-free for as long as these guys have, and still be doing it at a really high level, there aren't many in the business like Kazarian and Daniels who also are on that big long list of supremely talented wrestlers who got screwed over and didn't get used properly in WWE as well, but have still managed to bounce back. Phil, what's your memories of Kazarian and Daniels?
Right. I don't even know who Kazarian is by name. I might have seen him, but Daniels, I've got some great memories of Daniels. Now, some of the best fights I have ever seen were between him, Samoa Joe, and AJ Styles.
Yes.
Absolutely electric. Awesome fights. They worked together so well and free. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you could just watch them for the 2 hours. Just them free for the 2 hours. And I do. You won't need anyone else in that show.
And you think of the other guys
that good?
as well. You had like them fighting against the likes of Bobby Roode, Austin Aries as well. I mean, there were just some awesome battles. And when you look at wrestling organisations, for me, I've not seen, during that area of TNA, I've not seen any wrestling organisation really put the tag division as high up the ladder as what TNA did in the early 2000s. It was just absolutely phenomenal.
Maybe, I think we're maybe seeing something similar now with what AEW are doing, because, wow, tag teams, AEW, come on.
I know.
I mean, a lot of their program, from the little bits I've seen, a lot of their programming time's going towards tag teams.
It is, and it's going really well. Kazarian and Daniels' career as a tag team, so they won the TNA World Cup of Wrestling in 2013.
World Cup,
I know.
Wow.
Two-time tag champions. They've also, together and individually, won various tag team titles in Ring of Honor. And they also, Kazarian and Sky, not Kazarian and Daniels, even though they're all part of SoCal Uncensored in AEW, they were tag team champions, Kazarian and Sky, for a brief period on AEW as well.
The first ones as well.
Tag team of the year.
It's Kazarian.
It's newsletter 2012. Daniels and Kazarian were noticed as the tag team of the year as well by Wrestling Observer. So held in very, very high regard.
I regard Christopher Daniels in high regard. Kazarian, I don't really know. Is he still fighting? Do I know him underneath a different name or?
No. Still using the same name. Like Gav says, they are regular performers on AEW, but you can catch him on Being the Elite, which is on YouTube as well, which is great.
So I've got a lot to catch up on.
Daniels is going to be mainly the talent relations guy, I think, now anyway. So he's not really at 50. He's not really expected to do much anyway, really, is he?
But do you know what? You look at him now; he hasn't changed.
He's still got it.
Yeah.
Do you know when, obviously, after the Attitude Era, if WWE had AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels, and that would have made WWE still relevant today.
They had some great wrestlers, though. I mean, a lot of ex-TNA have walked through the door at WWE and have carried on walking through it. I mean, you've got to look at wrestlers in the X division like Low Key.
I think the problem is, Dave. Tell me I'm wrong, but
you're wrong.
I think the problem.
You're definitely wrong.
I think the problem is with these top guys like AJ Styles, Clifford Daniels going into the WWE. The WWE want to own them and their characters and personas and their moves and trademark them, and they don't give them any freedom in character development. And that's the problem.
It is true. Also, another good sort of the last big stable, and again, it was a great stable, but it came in at the wrong time for TNA when TNA was literally dying on its backside. Was it? I don't know if you've heard of these Aces and Eights.
I have heard of that, yeah. Don't know why.
Aces and Eights was a big stable in TNA at the time. Still when Daniels and Kazarian were still there and AJ Styles was still kicking around in Samoa Joe. And it was a stable, they all dressed like there was something out of Sons of Anarchy. And in that stable, you had the Dudley Boys, Mr. Anderson, a.k.a. Mr. Kennedy, and various other wrestlers as well in there. But again, all kicking around at the same time as Kazarian and Daniels. And Kazarian and Daniels deserve all the plaudits they get because they're some of the best high-flying wrestlers at their peak ever.
There's not many I've seen better than Daniels at wrestling. His matches with AJ Styles kind of got me interested in again in a time when I was not interested at all. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And speaking of AJ Styles, we can't mention AJ Styles without mentioning the one and only, still going now in various different forms, Bullet Club.
Hey! I don't... Now, this is a New Japan thing, isn't it?
The Bullet Club concept, well, who was, for 10 points, who was the original leader of the Bullet Club?
Big Cass.
Dun 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 dun. Boom! Prince David, a.k.a. Finn Balor.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Finn Balor.
Finn Balor, who's now who's gone back to NXT. He's been there a while now, hasn't he? Now, there's been various different leaderships, as we know, and members of that.
Needs to leave so he can develop his character.
That's right. Maybe he just wasn't really shackled with Raw and SmackDown embarrassments. But you had Prince.
I've turned down 27 contracts with the WWE already because they don't agree with my character development.
That's 26 more than what I've turned down, Phil.
Fair play.
And Carl Anderson was in there as well, who was just recently signed with TNA. Carl Anderson, you've also got obviously the Japanese influence of various wrestlers such as Tama Tonga was in there, Doc Gallows, AJ Styles, Yuriyo Takahashi was in there as well. It was a massive wrestler in Japan. Various Cody Hall as well. Kenny Omega was also a member of the Bullet Club. Kenny Omega, who's currently one half of the tag team champions in AEW. Adam Cole was in there as well. Tonga Loa.
Can I just mention to anybody listening, if you've never watched any of the Japan stuff, look, it's some of it's the most amazing stuff you could ever see. Some of the matches they're having in Japan are mad. They're crazy. You do not get that stuff over here. If you want to go a little bit further back and watch the Terry Funk and Mick Foley stuff, absolutely crazy.
Brilliant.
Japan wrestling is mad.
Well, they all went over there.
Search it on YouTube, guys. Anyone listening, tonight after the podcast, go on YouTube and put Japan wrestling. And look at all your old favourites.
Especially because it's just, you name it, they've all been over there and had a stint. Gav, for 10 points, name me another current AEW belt holder that was a member of the Bullet Club. Currently has a belt. Nope.
I can't think.
The big guy, Moxley.
I'll give you a clue. Phil hates him.
It's that fucking dickhead with the blonde hair, isn't it?
That could be a lot of people.
I don't think that's his official name, Phil.
Cody Rhodes. Cody, dickhead.
I didn't think a TNA title was a title.
And
somebody else
who has a belt but needs someone else to go with him was also a member of the Bullet Club.
Kenny Omega.
The other one.
Hangman Page.
Hangman Page as well. There has been, when you look on it, the history of the Bullet Club, they have won belts literally every single place that they've been in one formation or another. They've done it all. Mexico, Global Force Wrestling, Smoky Mountain Wrestling, Canadian Wrestling, as we've already mentioned, and where it's still massive now.
Stampede.
Japan, Stampede, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, Ring of Honor as well. They've won practically everything in that. And
they done it Gav, sorry, Dave, have they done it on North Branson?
Have they won the Newgrounds Wrestling titles?
That they've never won a belt, but that's because they're too frightened to come and fight you at Skippers. So until you retire,
never won a New Generation Wrestling title.
Never won a New Generation one. No.
Not won an NXT UK one either. It's not good enough.
It's not good enough. They've never won a 205 Live. It's just not good enough.
I've invited them all over. they never come.
And the amount of wrestling awards they've run from Wrestling Observer newsletter, I mean, you're talking finishing moves, Omega's One-Winged Angel, the Styles Clash for the matches. Omega and Page have won various different awards on there, as well as Styles and Guido and various others. So I think it's one of those, to me, it's a bit like being the Celtic manager. If you're the manager of that club, it's impossible not to win the title. When you're in the Bullet Club, it's impossible not to win a belt, I think, because they are that good and they are everywhere. Gav, your thoughts on the various members that have been in the Bullet Club, or ones that stick out to you?
It's the NWA, but not lame. Not just a few big stars and then watered down crap that just joins because they need a push.
A lot of it's up and coming, isn't it? At the time, it's rising stars, isn't it, that tend to join this faction.
Definitely compared to NWO, which was just three old stars that are no one anymore.
And the good thing is, it still goes on as well.
It sounds like someone's got a takeaway arrived. Someone's knocked on the door or something. Right, listen. Move.
Get me attention. Hello, Joshua.
Joshua. Hey, Joshua. Hello. Shout out to Joshua. I hope you're doing well, Joshua.
Big J.
The Big J. Absolutely.
We've covered Demolition as well, so we can move on.
We have. We're running a bit late tonight, aren't we?
We are, so I'm going to quickly
speak through
these ones. Just a few sentences, guys. Gav, you'll have more to say about this than Phil, because obviously Phil's only just started to get into a little bit of AEW.
He's very green.
I've been massively impressed every time I see the Young Bucks and Omega and Hangman Page in AEW. What's your thoughts, and what particular things stand out about those tag teams?
Super Kick Party. What more can you want?
Super kick party. And the moves that they produce are absolutely fantastic. Phil, you'll have seen these, Phil, in the 12-man tag team match.
This Omega guy, yeah?
Kenny Omega and Hangman Page. The Omega man.
He keeps getting 5-star ratings from Dave Meltzer of Pro Wrestling Illustrated.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
I do read that shit. I do keep attention. So that was the first time I seen him fight, and me.
He's better singles.
He wasn't as good as Shawn Michaels. He wasn't even as good as Marty Jannetty.
I'll tell you what, though, Phil. Here's another fact about Kenny Omega. He's never touched any booze in his life.
Has he not?
Never.
Well, that's probably why I will beat him. If I ever fought him, if I ever have to defend my championship against Kenny Omega, I reckon I'll probably win.
He should turn up with Kurt Angle's milk truck. And
maybe he should, but I think by now Kurt's probably on my team. He's probably on my side, Kurt.
We cannot close talking about classic tag teams, team feuds, without mentioning the Hardy Boys versus the Dudleys versus Edge and Christian TLC matches. Lads, I will leave it to you two to fill in the blanks on that, because I just don't think I can say enough good things about that era of WWE.
Absolute fucking best thing that ever happened to blooming wrestling at the time.
Just 6 words to sum it up. Tables, ladders and chairs. Oh my!
Yeah.
Do you know what?
One match.
The WCW was beating them in the ratings every week, and then all of a sudden, the WWF at the time changed the product. They changed it to people like the Hardy Boys and Edge and Christian. Wow! I mean, you know what? Them 3 tag teams didn't even need that shit. Nah. They could have had a good match without it. Yeah. You didn't need the tables, you didn't need the chairs, or the ladders. They were that good. They would have entertained you without it. But the fact they had it, wow, blew my mind. Honestly, it really did.
Do you know what I loved about it as well? It actually felt organic. When it was happening, because the Dudley Boys were renowned for Devon get the tables.
Yeah.
Edge and Christian had already got the concerto.
The chairs, yeah.
The concerto. And Hardy Boys were all about the high flying, weren't they? Jumping off the ladders.
Let's shoot. We're talking shoot, right? Shoot wrestling. That whoever wrote that, if it was a team of writers that wrote that, it was one of the best things ever in wrestling. Ever.
It was just great matches. I mean, I would pay to watch a pay-per-view just for that.
Yeah, but just Dave, you're right. It's like all 3 had their own thing. The Dudleys had the table, Edge and Christian had the chairs, Hardy's had the ladders, but it all fit together at the right time. There must have been something going on in the background that made that happen.
It just seemed to, for me, build up organically. Gav, what were your thoughts on that?
It was what
so good.
The injuries have had from it, but it drew.
Yeah.
It was just, it was what it needed at the time. It just revitalised WWE, or F at the time.
Absolutely.
And I think it got those 3 tag teams in their peak as well.
Oh, absolutely in the peak. I mean, every time I watch one of the matches, I changed my mind to know I wanted to win, because that's how good the storytelling was. That's how good the performances was. I'd go in thinking I want this team to win, and then something would happen, and I'm like, no, I want this team to win. That's how good the storytelling was then.
Guys, that's me wrapping up our Piledriver Podcast discussion.
We're not wrapped up yet, though.
Classic and important tag teams. Before Gav drops the cherry on the cake, happy birthday, Alexa Bliss, who's been recently mauled by the Fiend, aka Bray Wyatt.
Multiple times now.
29 today, so happy birthday, Alexa Bliss. Gav?
Now time to ruin her birthday. I've got a knock joke to start off with, so I'm going to need Dave to answer this one. So knock.
Who's there?
Interrupting Ric Flair.
Interrupting Ric Flair.
Woo!
That's shit. That one. It's shit. I hope it's shitter next week.
I've got another couple.
What are we doing next week then? Who's leading?
Phil. Well, I'm not done yet. Why can't AJ Styles go to a petrol station?
Don't know.
Because he always has to carry matches.
Hey.
And what did Rikishi make Chinese cuisine with? He did it with a wok.
Oh my gosh. Thank God we have got a comedian on the team, because you know what? It's always the best way to end a podcast.
Shall we kill it off with a Triple H joke?
And we're ending it with Gavin.
Got to kill it off with a Triple H joke. So why is Stephanie McMahon really angry with Triple H when they go out for a walk with the baby?
Don't know.
Because Triple H will never push anyone.
Yes.
Hey!
That's true.
Time to play the game.
And it's funny because it's true.
Very true.
So coming up this week next week I should say on Wrestling Dynamite, we're going to see some fallout between MJF and Jon Moxley.
Good.
After Moxley defended his title against Darby Allin, there's going to be some potential fallout between the Young Bucks, FTR, and Kenny Omega and Hangman Page against.
Are we going to see MVP on War Underground?
God, who cares?
You might. I might just read it off a website where they're giving the results.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing I do usually.
The only thing that's keeping me on WWE at the moment, and I've said it week after week, is just Bray Wyatt on SmackDown. That's the only reason. It's the only parts I watch on that.
I'll be honest. The only modern wrestling I have watched is AEW because of you two. But yeah, let's carry on. Sorry, Dave, I keep interrupting you.
No, that's it. So anything else we should be looking out for, guys, in this week coming up of wrestling that you've got your eyes on?
Cassidy Jericho.
Right. Okay. I'm gonna ask you if you can let me know by Wednesday. Would you guys like the next podcast's main segment to be legendary heels or legendary managers? So, whoever's listening, and I know there's a couple of you, about 3. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode too. But if you let me know, legendary heels or legendary managers, let me know by Wednesday. Whatever's got the most by Wednesday on the website or the Facebook page, I will go with that for next Sunday's podcast.
I'm going to pop it up on our, try and put it on the Facebook as well for us, Phil. Just to give people the opportunity.
I might put it as a poll
as well. So yeah, let's try and create a poll on there. Managers or legendary heels. Let's get it done. Yeah. So, guys, big thanks to you too.
We've got 2 minutes left of our allotted 60-minute time limit.
Your contribution. And good night, God bless, and remember, stay classy.
Always Freddie Blassie. Good night, guys.